Kingdom of Solomon is a board game designed by Philip Dewberry and produced by Minion Games. The game is for 2 to 4 players ages 12 and up and takes 60 to 90 minutes to play. This video will cover the basic rules of the game and give you a feel for how it plays. Kingdom of Solomon is a worker placement game. As one of Solomon's trusted governors, you are tasked with developing and expanding his vast empire. You will do this by placing your pawns on resource or action spaces, collecting resources, trading at the market, and building various structures, including the Great Temple. There are several ways to score victory points. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. Place the 2 decks of cards, resource cubes, road pieces, and white temple components next to the game board and make sure that each player has a set of playing pieces. Be sure to use the correct number of resource cubes and player pawns depending on the number of players. Randomly place the turn order tokens in the turn order area and place the scoring tokens at the start of the scoring track. Place 4 building cards in the slots on the board. These action spaces cannot be used until the buildings are constructed. Play proceeds in 4 phases: placement phase, resolution phase, market phase, and building phase. These 4 phases are repeated each round until the end of the game. First, players each place 1 pawn according to turn order. This is repeated until all pawns have been allocated. Once a space has been claimed, no other pawn may be placed there. Resource spaces will provide you with resource cubes. Action spaces will allow you to perform a special action. The Prophet lets you draw a fortune card. The Minister gives you 5 victory points. The Thief allows you to steal a resource cube from another player. The Trader lets you trade 1 resource cube for another. And the Artisan gives you an extra resource cube from a resource space where you currently have another pawn. Other action spaces will become available as buildings are constructed. In addition to resource and action spaces, the game includes 3 powerful bonus spaces. Tribute gives you 1 of each type of resource. The Art gives you 3 fortune cards. The Altar lets you move your turn order token to the number 1 position and gives you victory points equal to 3 times your previous rank. To claim one of these bonus spaces, you must spend all your remaining pawns. Once all players have deployed all their pawns, the resolution phase begins, according to turn order. Spaces may be resolved in any order. Collect resources as indicated and carry out actions, including any bonus spaces. Remove your pawn as you resolve each space. If there are not enough resource cubes in the supply, then players simply miss out on collecting those resources. Fortune cards may be held in secret and played at any time. Players may hold any number of fortune cards during a round, but may only end the round with 3 or fewer. Next comes the market phase. At the beginning of the game, the market is empty. Each space in the market indicates the number of victory points earned by selling a resource cube of a certain type. Players take turns, either selling or buying 1 resource cube in the market in reverse turn order. To buy a resource cube, pay the indicated number of victory points by moving your scoring token backward on the scoring track. A negative score is permitted. If you do not wish to buy or sell a resource cube, you may pass. Once you have passed, you will not have another chance to buy or sell in the market that round. Finally, players may build structures according to turn order. You may build 1 and only 1 of the 4 building cards available on the board by paying the indicated resources to the supply. Place the card in front of you. It will provide you a new action space, which only you may use. Place a building piece on any unoccupied building site. This resource space is no longer available to anyone but you. Note that you must still use a pawn to claim the resources in this space. Remember to move your scoring token to record the indicated number of victory points. Note that a few of the building cards do not allow a new building piece to be added to the board. During the last round, players may construct buildings even if no more building sites are available. Simply do not place a building piece in this case. In addition to a building, you may also build any number of roads, paying 2 timber and 1 food for each. Roads connect resource spaces together, forming a resource region. Regions may consist of 2 or more resource spaces connected by roads. Regions greatly improve the productivity of the land. One pawn can claim the resources of an entire region. Another pawn in that region will also yield all the resources in that region. Roads may only connect a resource space containing one of your building pieces with either an adjacent space containing another of your building pieces, or a space with no building site. Roads may never connect a space with an opponent's building, or a space with an unclaimed building site. You may never use an opponent's road. You may also choose to build any number of temple blocks. The temple must be built in order, starting with the foundations, then the structure, and finally the 2 columns. Each level of the temple requires a specified type of resource, and 1 more resource cube of any type. Place a white temple block in the appropriate space, and take either a white temple token or the indicated number of victory points. Temple tokens give you access to the High Priest. Whoever has the most temple tokens claims the High Priest and may place a pawn in an opponent's space or region once per round, making full use of any roads and regions, and taking any associated resource cubes. Another player may take control of the High Priest by gaining 1 more token than the current owner. Whoever ends the game in control of the High Priest gets an extra 20 victory points. The game ends at the conclusion of the building phase when all the building sites are claimed, or when one player uses all 5 of their building pieces, or when the temple is finished. All players add 1 victory point for each of their remaining resource cubes, and the player who controls the High Priest gets an extra 20 points. The player with the highest score wins the game. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you now have a better understanding of how the game works. Feel free to contact Philip Dewberry or Minion Games with any questions or comments you may have. Kingdom of Solomon will be available in limited quantities at Gen Con and fully available at Essen. Please consider making a pledge to our Kickstarter campaign, which gives you access to special promotional items and some amazing deals. Thanks.